Hello, I'm Paul, and this is the Cereal Aisle, and I am back after being away for a long time with another Transformer review. I haven't done one of these in quite some time. Not because I didn't like any of the Transformers that were coming out. Actually thought they were putting out some really cool ones. But the ones that were coming out were just ones that I personally weren't interested in adding to my collection. So that's why I didn't get them, and that's why I haven't done any reviews in a while. But there are some things that have come out that sparked my interest that I personally like for my own kind of personal taste and nostalgic reasons or whatever they are. So I've got some stuff to do reviews on, so that's cool. And first up, I'm going to start with Transformers Titans Return Deluxe Class Blurr. So this is part of the new Titans Return line. He is a headmaster figure, like a lot of the. I don't know if all of the Titan Return one, maybe not, but this most current wave are almost all headmaster figures. So it is actually Blurr and Hyperfire, who is his little pilot here. And the thing that attracted me to this is I just like Blurr. From seeing as a really young kid on G1, I just thought he was a cool character. I think it was voiced by like the Micro Machines guy, so he had that really fast style of speech. And that like futuristic hover car thing I just always thought was super cool. And since his G1 version, there have been other iterations of Blurr in toy form, but this is the first one that like I actually really like, and it's the first one that looks very like G1-esque, but also more modern. It has some of the modern engineering. It's not as like kind of blocky and bulky and cumbersome as that first G1 figure was. So yeah, he's this bluish blue, maybe greenish blue, future hover car thing. He does actually have wheels on the bottom here. And actually his bottom, I'm going to show this. There's not a lot of robot like kibble bits. I mean, he's tucked in here, but it's done in a really nice way. It doesn't just look like here's a robot. The head isn't staring at you, obviously, because of the headmaster, but like they do a really good job of tucking the stuff underneath here and adding like details that make it look like the undercarriage of his car, which I actually thought is really cool. So he has 3 wheels here, so he does kind of roll. It's all right. They're like plastic wheels, so but whatever. It's not a big deal. It's functional. It works. And actually, here I'm going to take out the cockpit does open, and I'm going to take out the headmaster figure here. And this is Hyperfire, I believe. Yes. And he has like kind of your headmaster. I have big hands, so sorry, forgive me here. Headmaster like articulation. Like he has like a bending at the hip joint here. Oh, my hands are so big. There, and then at a knee, so he can sit. He stands just fine. And then he has his arms can move. And actually, I like there's like nice silver paint on the insides of the arms, which is a nice little detail. It's not what I would actually expect. And even black here. I'm not expecting a whole lot of detail on these parts of the headmaster figures, especially not on Voyagers. I mean, sorry, on Deluxe class. But they did a good job. And obviously, like there's the head back there, but we can get to that later. All in all, though, I do really like this vehicle mode. Like I said, it's very reminiscent of the G1 thing. It looks the way my child memory remembers it looking. Not that this is how it actually looked, but it's the way it looks in my memory. So it looks really good. My biggest complaint about this mode, honestly, is this is all one big block of this kind of greenish, metallic greenish blue color, this like dark aqua color. And I wish they would have done something here to break it up a little bit, because it is just one big solid block of this color, and it gets a little much on the eyes. Especially, you'll see it's really prominent in his robot mode, but it's not as bad here because you have the fronts and the tips of the vehicle here to kind of break it up a little bit. But it is a lot, so I wish they would have broken it up. Now, this is the Hasbro version. The Takara version, from what I've seen, I only saw a couple brief pictures of it, that does have more dynamic color throughout. It is, I think that's a little more of a navy color with some light blues. That may or may not be G1 accurate. I actually don't remember exactly. I'm going off of child memories here, so these are not accurate depictions in my head of what it actually was. But beyond that, the Takara one is more dynamic in that. So if you're looking for something like that, I think that might be the way to go. But yeah, he looks really nice. I'm going to do a size comparison, and to do so, I think I brought out RC here, who is also kind of a cyber car in the same class. So side by side, you can see he is a little bit longer, obviously because of this nose thing here. But yeah, I think they size up really, really nicely, actually. So yeah, he looks good. As far as transformation go, I actually really enjoy his transformation. I have some time to play with it a little bit, so, and I don't mind doing it because it's really quick. So first you can start off by, these bits here are his arms, right? So they kind of peg in up here. I don't know if you can see, there's like this part right here will lock into some holes in here. And that's what holds them in place. So they're in there really snugly. And that's actually one thing I like about his transformation, is that everything fits together really nicely. Now the nose, I'm going to show you. I'm going to do it this way for now. You fold it underneath, and as I point out, there's a wheel there. There's actually this hole here which the wheel goes into, which is again really cool that like everything just kind of fits together nicely. These parts here are your legs, so you split them apart. And actually, you know what? I want to point this out. So this is probably my biggest complaint about the vehicle mode, is that if you see here, and this might just be mine on a quality control issue, is that it doesn't like peg together totally seamlessly. There's a gap in there, and you can kind of play with it to try to close it up, but it's always there. Again, it may just be me. The figure I got might not be a thing across the board, but be aware that may be a thing. So yep, split those apart, go back here, and then see if I can remember how to do this. Yeah, so they kind of clamshell around his legs to kind of set up, consolidate space, which is cool. And then they fold down. So tucking that in there. Fold down the heels there. And then the arms you flip around. They peg into place. Oops. Kind of peg into place there. And then these fins right here, they fold up behind and they tuck in really nicely. Some good hinges there. So that, and then, oh, actually, so one thing, when he's in, if you see it here, when he's in vehicle mode, there's a seat there for the guy. And you have to open up the cockpit, which is actually can be difficult to open. You got to really get in there. Actually, that was the best I've ever done it. Flip it up, fold that seat down, and then you can close it snugly. And then, actually, let me adjust this so you can see the whole thing. He's standing kind of awkwardly. I'll put his arms down here, and then the Headmaster figures, they all transform exactly the same. You basically just fold them up into a block. And then the head, which is here, pegs into this thing right there. Pegs into a hole that's on the top there. So let's peg that in there. So, yeah. And there he is. So, he looks pretty nice. I like him quite a bit. The transformation... it might look pretty clumsy the way I was doing it. Again, I have big hands and not the most graceful person, but it's actually really fun. It works really nicely. It feels good. He does have a gun that fits into his hands nicely, and I did not show it, but this actually does peg onto the vehicle mode. It pegs on underneath the nose, so you can have that there. There's a storage for it. So yeah, this is what he looks like. Go full spin around the whole bit. You have the nose back here. And I mentioned that there's something else you can do with this. And the nose actually does come off. You can slide it off. And there's just these grooves here. Right there. That slide into this. Because if anybody remembers, and I don't know if I actually own the Blurr figure. I might have, again, a long time ago. I went and looked, and on the original figure, part of his transformation was you just straight up took the nose off. Like there was no storage on it. It was just like you just took it off and then put it to the side, and that was it. So I like in this transformation that's not the case here. The nose does fold behind, and you can have it on the backpack, and it looks okay actually. Like I actually don't mind the way it looks back here when it's all in there. I think it looks fine. But if you wanted to take it off, you can. And they have actually a peg here, which you can use if you wanted to kind of like have it as some sort of like shield, I guess. That works too. And again, that doesn't look terrible. Like I'm okay with that. So there's point being, I like that it's integrated into the transformation. They didn't do the G1 thing where you just like, hey, take this piece off and then put it aside. But then they also give you things to do with it. So there's another thing you can do with this, which is, I guess it kind of, it's a gimmick with the Headmaster. If you turn it upside down, and then I believe what you do is you take the gun. There's a hole here that you plug that into, and then you can sit the Headmaster figure in that. So popped him out, and then kind of have him like steering some sort of weird sled. That's if you wanted to. I don't, but hey, that's there. It's cool if they're getting mileage out of all the parts. So yeah. Articulation. He's got a joint here at the elbow. He's got one here at the shoulder that swivels all the way around. It's actually, and it does, because of a hinge here, it does move up and down as well, so you can get some of this as well as that. His knees, he's got normal knee joints. They bend like you would expect. His hips are actually ball jointed, so you can kind of do some things with that. And he's really stable. He's got nice big feet with these big things out here that make him really stable. So yeah, I like both modes a lot. Again, I kind of hinted that in this mode that this metallic greenish blue color it's a little much. I wish there would have been some way to kind of break it up a little bit, but for the most part, it looks good, and he's a deluxe, this isn't a Voyager, this isn't a masterpiece. It's a deluxe, and for what it is, I think it looks really good. Oh, and I'm an idiot. There's one other thing I forgot. It's actually the head. And I actually like that they did this. So he had this thing, if you see, you can slide up the thing on the head there. It actually slides up and down. Which and in his robot mode, it should be up, which is actually something really nice. It's a little detail they didn't have to do, especially because, with the Headmasters, they try to keep the engineering really simple, but I'm glad that's there, and it looks really nice, and it's a cool little touch. So yeah, I like him quite a bit. I think he's a cool figure, and if you guys are interested in him, I wouldn't. If you have any kind of interest in this character or figure, I wouldn't hesitate on it. I think this is a pretty good rendition of it. If you are a pretty big fan, I may suggest looking into the Takar version just because of the coloring. But otherwise, I think he's really good, and this isn't a bad, but I think he's a solid like 7.5, and this is me using the whole scale, so I think he's well above average. He looks really good. A couple points knocked off just because of like the color is a little bland, but besides that, I think he's really good, super solid, really fun, feels good in your hands. So yeah, well, that's Blurr. If you guys got any comments, any questions, any suggestions, just post it down there, and yeah, I'll be back with some other stuff. Laters.